Thanks so much, Rich. We're going to just go ahead and hop into our first presentation. That's going to be by our Outings Committee. So we have three presenters here this evening, Denise Tingle, Barry Randall, and Nancy Ball. And they're going to be presenting about their backpacking school that they got started back up last year and what they've done this year to adapt it to be virtual. So I'll let you guys take it away.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. Nancy, you want to go ahead and share the first slide? Great. Appreciate the opportunity to come here this evening and give everyone an update on what's going on with backpacking school. As Nicole said, my name's Barry Randall, and I'm the chairperson of the Outings Committee. And I'm here tonight with Denise and Nancy, who are two of our Outings leaders. We're going to talk a little bit about the backpacking school, but mainly we're going to talk about what we had to do when the pandemic struck and how we had to pivot and learn some new skills. So want to go to the next slide there, Nancy? So last year, 2019, we reinstated the backpacking school sort of on a trial basis. It hadn't been done for a while. We rewrote the curriculum. We recruited a partner organization, Roads, Rivers, and Trails, who's an outfitter in Milford, Ohio, so that they could provide some working space for us and also some professional gear expertise. And we started putting out the word that the backpack school was back in session. We weren't quite sure what to expect. We limited the first class to 10 participants. We figured we'd have a lot to learn through the process. And we weren't sure how much demand there was out there these days. We hoped there'd be enough to make it interesting for all the participants. Well, the class filled up totally within the first week, and we started taking names for a wait list, and we stopped taking names for the wait list when it reached 20. So obviously there is some demand out there. So the class sessions went well. We had 2 all-day Saturday classes. In the first class, we covered all the basics, leave no trace principles, clothing, tents, sleeping bags, and even more topics, first aid, foot gear or footwear, hygiene in the backcountry, how to take care of animals in the bear country, like avoiding bear interactions. So it was a very, very full day. The second all-day class covered all of the elements of trip planning. This was things like weather considerations, but also skills like knot tying, navigation, map and compass, how to use a topographic map, and that sort of thing. You go to the next slide. So after we had those 2 Saturday sessions, they were followed up by a one-night shakedown. This took place at Morgan's campsites, and students were put in a situation where they could practice all the new skills that they'd learned and learn it in an actual backcountry setting. And then the finale was a 2-night backpacking trip in Big South Fork recreation area. This was the real deal. This was some rough trails, some water crossings, sitting around the campfire. So everyone got to actually use the skills that they had learned in the class and in the shakedown. And on the way home, we stopped at a restaurant, we debriefed, we had a graduation ceremony. Each student got a hand-lettered buff from the Sierra Club. They got a certificate of completion, and we gave them each a trail name. So everybody really enjoyed that, and we had a blast. Excuse me. So 2020, we decided that 2019 had been so successful, we were going to try this again. But we learned some things, and so we made some modifications to how we went about this. We felt bad that we had more than 20 people that we couldn't accommodate the prior year. So we wanted to figure out a way to increase the class size. We recruited 2 more instructors. So we had a total of 6 instructors and 1 alternate. One of the gentlemen we recruited, his trail name is Tortoise, Terry Cooper. He actually leads the Cincinnati backpacker group. So bringing in some additional skill there. And then we recruited a gentleman who goes by the trail name Fireball, Kevin Ernst. You can see his picture on the left there, who was actually a graduate of our 2019 school, but did such a good job and was such a great guy that we recruited him to be a trainer. We split the curriculum into 2 sessions as well. We decided to have a beginning backpacking 100 and a more advanced or experienced backpacking 200 that would allow us to go to 24 students in each of those courses. We raised the price a little bit to allow us to rent a classroom out at Sharon Woods and also to actually purchase a custom printed buff instead of the handmade ones that we had done the prior year. And each course was going to consist of a full day classroom and outdoor kind of session all day Saturday, and then 1 class that would take place outside somewhere in the backcountry. The beginning course filled up pretty quickly with all 24 students, so obviously that demand was still out there. 9 of them signed up to do both the beginning and the advanced class, and then we got another 5 students who signed up for just the advanced class. We also needed to spread out the information we were presenting a little bit. One of the key pieces of feedback we had gotten the first year was that listening to all this was like drinking from a fire hose. So a lot of it was just going right over their heads. So by structuring it into 2 courses, we were able to kind of spread out that academic content a little bit and hopefully feed it to them in a little more digestible fashion. And we also changed how we presented in that we set up stations. You can see one here out at Sharon Woods, and broke the class into smaller groups so that we could rotate the small groups through the stations so they'd get a very one-on-one or at least small group kind of experience with each of the trainers. And they got to move around a lot, which was great, kept them active. So things started off great. We held the first class at Sharon Woods at their training center, March 7th. A beautiful day. Held the class mostly outside. See some pictures there. It was a lovely day. Everyone was eager. Everyone was engaged. All the instructors did a great job. It was just shaping up to be a great backpacking training year. And then, of course, we all know what happened. The COVID-19 virus hit and the world changed for us and we had to change along with it. So for this part of the story, I'm going to turn things over to Denise.
Good evening, everyone. So next is now what? So now what do we do? In-person outings are canceled, and at this point, we had no idea how long this interruption would last. First, we postponed the overnight trip that was planned for April 4th and 5th, and crossed our fingers that the pandemic would somehow go away in time for us to make the trip in late May. When it became apparent that late May wasn't going to work either, we canceled the Backpack School 200 class entirely, and we postponed the 100 overnight trip indefinitely. We wanted to keep the students engaged, so we did things like send them check-in emails and interesting backpacking news. We encouraged them to go out hiking where they could do so safely and to email us trip reports. We also encouraged them to keep asking questions, and we sent each of them the buff that was intended to be a graduation present, since they also work for face masks in a pinch, like the one that Nancy's modeling for us there. But after a couple of months, this began to feel pretty inadequate. Plus, even though we had to postpone the Backpacking School 100 overnight indefinitely, we still hope to take the students out later this year. And we realized that from March 7th to some indefinite time, maybe this fall, is a long time to remember what they learned during our Saturday class. We decided to see if we could find a way to help keep the information fresh. So why not try a virtual backpacking school? With everything from K to 12 schools and universities to board meetings and sales calls taking place virtually as the pandemic lingered, we figured we could probably make it work for us too. The idea of doing a virtual backpacking school using a webinar platform seemed doable. We used the PowerPoints and other materials we had already developed. We brainstormed methods for making the webinars interactive to help keep participants engaged. Before we went live with our first webinar, we tested to go to webinar platform, but found that it was just not user-friendly for participants. By that point in time, Zoom was taking over the Cypher universe and most people were getting familiar with it. The Miami group Sierra Club already had a Zoom account, so with a lot of assistance from Nicole, we did a second test run using it and found it worked very well. So how to make it engaging? We knew it could be challenging, brainstorming ideas. We decided to have more than one presenter for most of the sessions so that participants won't have to listen to the same voice for an hour. We build in periodic pauses to the presentation to answer questions and invite more discussion. Participants who wish to ask questions live, which we hoped would also generate a more interactive feeling. In addition to allowing the presenter to share their screen to run PowerPoint, Zoom also has some special features that allowed us to incorporate several other interactive techniques, such as participants' videos were visible so everyone could see each other, a raise hand function, a chat box for comments, questions, and technical issues, polls, and even breakout rooms. Would you like us to demonstrate how we use these features? Please use the raise hand function to let us know.
So Denise really wants you guys to use your raise hand function.
Yeah.
If you would like a demonstration of these special techniques that Zoom lets us use.
Yeah, I've seen a few out there.
All right.
Okay, great. So we're going to ask you a couple of polls. The first one is this. Poll number 1, Nancy, do you want to go ahead and launch it?
Will do.
Thank you. So the first poll is, which types of camping do you enjoy? And you select all that apply, so it's multiple choice. So go ahead, we'll give you a few moments to put in your vote there. So one is, I don't. Holiday Inn, can rough it without room service for a short day. The kind I send my kids to, car camping, lodge camping, backpacking on well-traveled trails, canoe camping, and backpacking trips of 100 miles or more.
And I just want to call out really quick, Denise, since I forgot to say this earlier. Anybody who I have in here as a co-host, all of our past plastic folks and Rich, you guys won't be able to participate in these since you are co-hosts, just in case you're wondering why you can't click anything. So just leave the windows alone and we'll let our outings folks take care of it.
Okay, I'll give you another moment. Okay, Nancy, if you could share it.
There we go.
Okay, well, shoot, it looks like around 75% of you like lodge camping the most, followed by car camping, backpacking on well-traveled trails, Holiday Inn, can rough it without room service for a short stay. And then we also had about 8% do canoe camping and backpacking trips of 100 miles or more, about 8%. Nice.
I'm glad there's at least 1 or 2 people who like to do that.
Yeah, great. All right, thank you, Nancy. And thank you everyone for voting. So again, when we displayed the poll results, this poll didn't have any single correct answers, but reading the responses gave us an idea of where you all stand in terms of experience. It helps keep you engaged as a participant because it requires action from you. There's an option on the polls to make the answers anonymous. We always use that option so that we can tell participants at the beginning of the webinar that we will not know how each person answered. We would never count. What percentage like those long trips and all the answers in between. We don't know how many individuals answered. Okay, we have a second poll for you. How many people can participate on a Zoom webinar at one time? Nancy, can you go ahead and launch the poll? Thank you. Looks like a few are still voting. We're almost there.
That may be all the voters we can get since the co-host can't weigh in.
Right.
You want me to go ahead and end it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 71% up to 100 and 29% up to 50. The correct answer, of course, is up to 100 for the Zoom subscription that the Miami group has. This feature allows you to set up your poll so that participants can only select a single answer, or you can choose to allow them to select multiple answers. As with the poll on the previous slide, the poll on this slide allows you to select only one answer. Okay, Nancy, if you want to go ahead and close it out. Thank you. Another one we use is the breakout rooms. So we're going to demonstrate a breakout room now. You'll be assigned to a virtual room with other people. Once there, unmute yourselves so that you can talk to each other. Go around the group and each of you share how many years you've been involved with the Sierra Club. Choose one person to record and add up the total years of involvement in your group. Choose another person to report out when we come back together. Report out, one of us, add up the total years of involvement.
So this is where we'll need your help, Nicole, to send everyone off to a virtual breakout room. Can you help us with that now?
Yeah, I'm almost there.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, everybody's going to be sent to breakout rooms, and I just gave everybody permission to unmute yourself. So once you get into your breakout room, you will be able to unmute yourself. And again, you guys have about 3 minutes to do this. So we'll go ahead and get started.
Thanks, Nicole. All right, Denise, you want to have people report out, and if you like, I'll add up the total. Are you there, Denise? You might have to unmute yourself again.
Yeah, now I'm back. So breakout rooms are a great way to get people talking. We have had a little trouble making time for them in our presentations, but we are working on it. So now,
Hey, Denise, sorry, I accidentally muted you when I was
you have
muting
to
everybody else.
Unmute yourself, Denise.
okay, sorry about that.
No, my problem.
Okay.
My bad, I'm sorry.
So for our group, we had a total of, how many was it, Barry?
92.
92.
Yep. Most of that was Randy, but still.
So Nicole, how many breakout rooms did we have?
Okay, again, I'm here. We had 6. So do you want me to call out the rooms? Would that be helpful?
Yeah, so we can have somebody report from each room on the total for their room, and I'm going to add them up.
Well, Nancy, yours is first on my list. So how many did you guys have?
Karen is reporting out for us on that.
All right, go ahead, Karen. Then is it Karen Brown or Karen Nagel? And I'll unmute you.
Karen Brown.
All righty.
We had 180 years.
That's awesome.
Wow.
We doubled the other guys. That's pretty good.
And that was 5 people. So
Wow.
Who's next?
You all joined when you were 3, right?
Yeah.
So the next one we have is Carol Cohn, Evan Denenberg, Julie DeRoma, Kay Robershaw, and Sandy Summer. Whoever's reporting out, if you want to either raise your hand or something like that, and I will unmute you. I'm just going to go ahead and unmute Carol and see if she knows.
Yeah. Okay. We had our total was 50, and
50?
yeah, we had 50 years.
Got it. Who's next?
Got it.
The next one would be Jean's group with Jean, Deb, Kim, Retta, and Ruth Hardy.
Okay, I guess we had only 3 people, and we added up to 100.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, all together, or maybe it was 400 people. 100. Was that right,
Very
Debbie?
good.
Was that right? Okay.
Cool. Then the next group,
104.
104.
Ooh, 104. Wow.
Okay.
Got to get that last bit in there for sure. All right, so skipping over that group. So the next group was Alyssa, Janet Miller, Lisa, and Sue. Okay, if somebody wants to either raise their hand in that group, or I can just unmute someone. Or you can type it in the chat if that's easier for you.
Hey, Nicole, this is Elissa. We guesstimated 18 years and 8 months.
Awesome.
Okay.
Call that 19.
19.
Yeah.
Close enough.
And then our last group was Jim, John, Nathan, and Rich. I'm just going to go ahead and unmute Rich since I have him right here.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we were muting and unmuting each other. We had actually we had 3 members and 1 guest who's going to be a speaker a little bit later on. But we totaled 30 years.
All right.
So that comes to a grand total of 475 years of experience in the Sierra Club, just among the people who are here on this meeting. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks for playing along with us. We wanted to have a way to demonstrate how these breakout rooms and the polls and all those features work. So should I go ahead now, Denise? Are you finished with that screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. So moving right along. So now we have identified a good platform, and we've got a pretty good idea of how to use it. So there were 4 of us from the original backpacking school instructors, and together we developed a list of topics to be presented, and we put them in a somewhat logical order so that they sort of build on each other. And in essence, they constitute a review of what we covered in the all-day Saturday class. But given that we had a full hour for each topic, we've been able to go into each one a little bit deeper and spend some one-on-one time with questions at the end of each webinar as well. I do want to show you, let me stop sharing here. I want to show you the list of, I'm sorry, I can't talk and type very well at the same time. So just a second here. I want to show you a list of the topics that we have presented so far. So starting May 28th, we've been doing these 1 a week, every Thursday evening at 7:30. You can see we've got them scheduled out up to August 27th. Actually, we have them scheduled through September 3rd. There's one more that's not posted on here yet that's ready to roll out as well. And we have enough of them to take us into the end of October at this point, I think. So I just wanted to share that list with you. I'll go back over here. So again, 4 instructors, long list of topics. 10 presentations have been made to date, and we've got 11 more scheduled. Plus, we have a list of many topics that we can use for fillers if we need to going forward. We have 11 coming up, again, all the way through October 15th, although I think because of some schedule movements, it might be the end of October now. And we've been averaging 15 to 20 participants in each session. The next class is going to be this Thursday on nights, and you are knots, not nights, knots, as in tying ropes, type knots. I'm really tongue-tied now. Barry's going to be presenting that this Thursday, and you are all cordially invited to attend that. It's been fairly well received. We've gotten consistently good feedback. Each week we ask participants to tell us how many new ideas they've gotten, and virtually everyone has responded that they've gotten something new out of every presentation. And we also ask them if they've got any specific feedback for us, that they just type it into the chat box. And you can see on the screen here a sample.
You're not sharing, Nancy.
I'm not sharing. That's not good. Okay. Hang on. Thank you for stopping me, Barry. Am I sharing now?
Yep.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. So again, you'll see a sampling here of some of the comments that people have left in the chat box for us. And as I said before, in addition to that, virtually everyone has indicated that they've gotten something new. I think there was maybe 2 classes where one person in each class said, yeah, I already knew all this, but otherwise everyone's gotten something new out of it. And this one comment in particular really caught our attention. I joined the Sierra Club last month because of the seminars and activities that you organized. Thanks. That was really encouraging. So a couple of things about setting up the Zoom platform, and this is specifically for people who may be thinking about ways that you can use this. The Zoom platform itself is pretty user-friendly. We've taken turns setting it up, and it didn't take us very long to get comfortable with it. A couple of recommendations. First one is to mute all participants on entry and unclick the setting that allows them to unmute themselves, and that kind of helps minimize the issue that you have with barking dogs and crying children and doorbells and things like that in the background that can make it pretty hard for people to hear. If you want to record the webinar, which we've been recording ours so that people can access them later, people who maybe don't get the opportunity to attend, you want to set it to record on the cloud so it's easier to retrieve it. If you have more than one meeting that you plan to do that's going to follow a similar format, a handy shortcut is to set the first one up and then label it as a template. And then it makes it really, really cinchy to set up future ones. And then the most important tip that we have for you of all is get Nicole to help. With her help, we've been able to do a pretty good job with this, but she was essential in getting us to this point. Just 2 other points. The polls that we did, you can't set those up as you're creating the meeting, so you have to go back later and add them after you've already set up and saved the meeting itself. And then the last thing is that Zoom now requires that you either use a password or use the waiting room. So it gives you a little more access to control over who is able to access the webinar, so you don't end up with somebody hacking your meeting. So in addition to helping people who want to learn how to backpack and those who want to up their game, we've also realized that there's some other side benefits to the backpacking school that have worked well for both in-person classes that we had initially and also the virtual platform. It's helped us to recruit new members and new volunteers. It helps us keep the Miami Group Sierra Club Outings Committee front of mind while we wait for it to be safe to gather in groups again. It helps to drive awareness of and encourage participation in other Sierra Club efforts, including education and advocacy. And we've also used it to ask for support. So we recently started closing each webinar with a soft ask for a donation, along with a link to the Miami Group's donation page to make it easy for people to contribute if they think it's something that is worth supporting. And then finally, we're also letting people know what the Sierra Club's position on safety and on equity is. So we start every webinar with the statement that you see on the screen here. Whoever opens up the webinar will read this so that it gives us an opportunity to kind of broadcast Sierra Club's position on these issues. So for us, what's next? We've been looking at some other ideas, some other ways for how to use this platform. And some of the things that we're considering are things like, well, you know, there are certain times of the year when backpacking isn't as nice as others, like when it's really hot and steamy out. So perhaps doing virtual lessons every summer might be a good option for people. We've been continuing to add to the course content, and we're also looking at adding other adventure topics besides backpacking, so things like bike camping and paddle sports as well. We've also started asking ourselves if there might be some opportunities to raise funds through the Zoom platform. So for instance, we've talked about maybe there are certain classes that we would offer for a fee, or perhaps we would charge just a small amount to allow people to download the PDF of the webinar after the fact and also the handouts, or even make the recordings of the classes available for a fee. We've put together and had printed a backpacking handbook to go along with this course, and we've considered the possibility of selling that to people who are kind of at the beginner level and are interested in something in writing that would help them figure out how to do this thing. And then we've also talked about the possibility of selling those custom printed buffs that we had made, because we had to order a lot of them in order to get them custom printed. And then since the class has been stopped prematurely, we haven't given out a whole lot of them. So the possibility of selling those is another thing. But we also would like to just ask everybody else, you know, are there other ways that the Miami group in general can use these tools, whether it's Zoom or some other virtual platform? We think that there are probably some ways that they can be used to help advance the Miami Group Sierra Club. And so we'd like to challenge everyone to think of that. Zoom's already being used for innings meetings like this one. And it's my understanding that it has been reaching people who don't normally attend the meetings in person. So maybe live streaming using a Zoom platform or some sort of virtual platform, even after the pandemic, might be a way of keeping those people engaged and attracting other people who, for whatever reason, don't make it to the in-person meetings. Or maybe Zoom could be used as a virtual platform for educational presentations on topics like past plastics or Ready for 100 or MSC. We think Zoom can be used pretty effectively to educate the public on key initiatives, to help keep our messages flowing during the pandemic and after, and also to reach new supporters and perhaps different demographics. So that's the extent of our presentation. And what we're going to do at this point is I'm going to stop sharing my screen because it's a little nicer when we're doing questions if we can see each other. And encourage you, if you have questions about anything that we just covered, to either type them in the chat box, or if Nicole will make it so that you can unmute yourselves right now, then you can unmute yourself and ask any questions, and Barry and Denise and Nicole will chime in too, because she's the real Zoom expert, of course, and try to answer any questions that you might have. I think I saw somebody raising a hand. Brown. I think you can unmute yourself, Karen.
Yeah, I gave everybody capabilities to mute themselves for this section, so feel free, Karen,
okay.
Or anybody else.
You'll have to unmute yourself, Karen, but you're able to do that now.
It's not. There we go.
There
Okay,
we are.
got it. Just a really quick question about that. When you're using Zoom, I know I use a Zoom through through my business, you know, the church that I work at too. We have a Zoom account there too. And we have to schedule Zoom meetings because you can only have one person on the Zoom at a time. Is there a way that that's going to be able to be set up so that the club, I mean, we have a Google Calendar also, and that's how we set it up, is we just put in like a certain color for Zoom that it's being busy at that time so people know when they could possibly use it.
That might be a question that Nicole will want to answer, but what I can tell you is that for the meetings that we've been setting up, when you go out onto the Zoom account, the meetings that are already scheduled are all listed. And thus far, it's been okay for us. If no one has already taken that spot, then we know that that spot is okay for us. There's one standing Thursday meeting that we know is a time slot we can't have, and we actually use our other partners' Zoom account for those Thursdays to make it still work.
So
But the
we can,
list of meetings is there.
sorry. So we can use like for example, I'm part of the Memorial Grove team, and we could have like a little get together on Zoom at a certain time for like a meeting if we all wanted to, and we can use our account.
Yeah, and if you log into that Zoom account, the Miami Group Zoom account, like Nancy said, you can see that calendar and you can actually go out and find, you know, available slots or if somebody's in conflict.
Okay.
So far we've just managed it through the Zoom calendar and it really haven't had to set up anything fancier than that.
Okay, because I know we also have a calendar on our website,
Right.
which, you know, we actually coordinate it with the calendar on the website. Something to think about for the future might be helpful.
Yeah, so I mean, Nancy and Barry, you guys answered that perfectly. I'll just add to that, any of our consistent meetings, like conservation every second Wednesday, XCOM every third Wednesday, all of those meetings are set up on repeats on our Zoom account. So that time has been blocked in our Zoom account through, I think, the end of the year right now is how I have it set up. So the only committee that comes in and sometimes schedule things last minute is if we're planning something random, or our political committee is having another interview with a potential candidate that they might endorse. That's the only thing that's really last minute, but we haven't ran into any issues yet, so it's been pretty good.
Just scanning, it looks like the questions that were in the chat box maybe have already all been answered. Is there anyone else who had a question that we can help with? Or make sure I didn't miss anything. If not, then I guess we're ready to turn it back over to Nicole.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so we have one more group presenting this evening, so thanks everybody for hanging on and everything. We hope that everybody will stick around for the Past Plastic Coalition to present. So I'm just going to give a brief bio, and feel free, Alyssa, if you want to pull your slides up while I'm doing this or anything like that, go ahead. So Past Plastic Cincinnati is a grassroots campaign the Sierra Club spearheaded 12 years ago. Members of Past Plastic Cincinnati are going to report on the coalition's 12-year campaign to reduce plastic waste in Cincinnati. Meeting every month, its members, chaired by Marie Kokocious, work to engage community groups to educate the public about runaway plastic consumption and the hidden costs to human and ecological health. They lobby City Council to pass legislation to ban single-use plastic bags in Cincinnati. The call to action will be aimed first at Ohio House Bill 242, which, if passed in the Senate, would ban fees on plastic containers in municipalities such as Cincinnati. Alyssa Yoder-Mann, Ohio Sierra Club's Conservation Program Manager, will tell us about the status of the bill and the actions we can take to persuade our governor to veto the bill. So I will let you all take it away. Thanks for being here.
All right, I'm going to start off today, and I put my mask on because this is the latest assault of plastics on our waterways. The disposable masks that people are wearing are made of polypropylene, and they're ending up on all kinds of waterways and on the beaches. So this is our next thing that we've got to use reusable masks. And this is a picture of the Mill Creek, and we don't want this replicated all over the place. Next slide, Alyssa. So that's just a little bit of what we're going to be talking about tonight, just kind of the program that we have outlined for y'all. And we'll do the next slide. So these are some of our stars here. These are, back one. These are the two people from University of Cincinnati, Jonna Jackson and Myra Morehart, who started raising consciousness with all kinds of events on the UC campus. And they started out with a network of advocates, and then as students, and then you see Marilyn Wall in the back and a bag monster. And as students do, they moved on, and we were able to pick it up with a lot of groups, Sierra Club, ECO, League of Women Voters, and now calling ourselves Pass Plastic Cincinnati. Next slide. These are some of the things that we've done. As I said, we started out with a lot of consciousness raising, having events and movies and things like that. When we eventually decided that our goal was to have an ordinance in the city of Cincinnati for single-use plastic bags that would ban them in the city of Cincinnati. And that's kind of where we are now. I think we've got the list up of our, I think we've got the list of our coalition members up.
Next.
And we're looking always for new members. These are the people that have been with us pretty much from the beginning. And so please join us if you have a group that you think would like to share our mission here. So I'm going to pass it off to, I believe we have, Jean is going to introduce, Jean Nightingale is going to introduce our next guest. Yes, right, Jean?
Yes. Okay, I'm here. Hi, good evening. I have John Harmon here, who has been working with Chris Zalbach, and I think we missed one of the slides, but he has been, Chris has been championing this legislation in City Council. Of course, we got, oh no, that's in the next one, I'm sorry. So we're in the, this is a picture of the ordinance that we're just about ready to take to committee and pass, but the COVID held us up here for a while. So we're anxious to move it on. But John Harmon will give us a brief update on what's going on in City Hall. Is John here?
Yes, everybody, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, John.
Hi, thank you to both Marie and Jean for all the work you guys have done.
Is that it?
In an grow bead band. Can you hear me?
No.
Breaking up.
You just came back, yeah.
Okay, am I there now?
Yes.
Okay. So tomorrow in the Education and Growth Committee at 2 p.m. at City Hall, saying the plastic bag ban, a few of the ban include new language that does allow the 5-cent minimum charge to be waived during a state declared health emergency. This is part of a concern that some people may have that, something like COVID right now, should we have the ability to make small exceptions? This is probably the most minimum exception that we could find that could be appropriate. Additionally, we've added language that says in the case that the state bans or preempts cities from taking control of plastic waste through bans, the 1-year consideration that's out there, we've already put into the legislation that we will immediately go into effect 1 day after that ban is over. Of course, our hope is that many of us who are advocating to the governor to oppose and veto such a proposal we won't even come to that place. Sure, our ordinance goes back into effect the day the ban expires. Other aspects are the 5-cent minimum charge on reusable plastic bags or paper bags. As many states and cities have seen, putting that 5-cent charge in there dramatically reduces the use of plastic. Once you've added a small charge to the use of plastic, folks reuse their bags. They bring their reusable bags. And speaking of reusable bags, we are thrilled that Kroger has pledged the equivalent amount of about, I think it's 5,000 5,000 reusable bags that they will be working with us over the next year to give away. That's a lot of the update. Generally, this ordinance is designed the same way that most cities and states have done. It's nothing now where we know that we can do this too in Cincinnati. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Our goal is to pass the legislation in September. So again, tomorrow we'll have a detailed discussion in the committee, but our hope is then we'd have another meeting in September where we can discuss it, hear from folks, and pass the law.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Is our next slide?
Could I ask John one quick question?
Sure.
I just wanted to clarify the 5-cent fee that will go back to the store.
Correct. It is not collected by the city. There was a lot of discussion on this. Some cities have done it. Some cities and states have done it either way. The point here is no small vendor, no small business could claim that this is adding a financial hardship as they are collecting the 5 cents. It's not a city tax. It's not a city fee. None of the money comes to the city. One of the differences with this is a lot of cities and states have passed bag fees or bans that really only affect the chains, the giant chains. And they've got waivers that cover huge numbers of businesses. We've decided to follow a model that says all food use, that's restaurants, grocery stores, and also stores like Target that sell groceries, that they will have to, of any size, from down to a convenience store all the way up to Walmart in the city limits, would be subject to the plastic single-use ban and the 5-cent minimum charge.
That was going to be my next question. So what type of stores would be using this bag? So the key is that stores that sell food?
Correct. At this point, what we are currently proposing, and I'm certain and hopeful that one day in the future, you know, I could see this changing either in a future council or who knows when. But as of right now, the plan is retail established. So that's going to be grocery stores, restaurants, conveniences, and, you know, businesses that have more than 2% of their revenue in food sales. So the auto store that has a Snickers bar in the aisle on the way out is not going to count, but a CVS will.
Okay. Are you encouraging, John, are you encouraging people to come to this committee meeting tomorrow?
It would be great. I would say a lot of tomorrow is going to be to really reintroduce this after the pause of the coronavirus break that much of council saw, and to let people know this has not gone away. We will be dealing with this. He's going to give a date of the September meeting where we will be doing, would really want the citizen input. So this is almost more of a call to arms for the advocates, but also an on notice for businesses. Don't forget, this is coming. We're still committed to this. Coronavirus may have led to a small pause in the discussion, but it's not gone. And to just really put it back on everyone's radar that our intent is to pass this in September. So if you can show up tomorrow at 2 o'clock, that's wonderful. You're welcome in the committee. But really, we'll give a date in September when we'd love the most attention and really take the next month. Between now and that September date, I don't have it off the top of my head. As soon as we have it tomorrow, I'll send it to Marie and Jean, and you guys can get it out there. But take the next month to email your council folks, call them if you can. If you see somebody around town, bring it up again, and make sure that that advocacy is on over the next month so that we can pass it in September.
Oh, John, you and Chris have been doing a great job, and I know it's a lot of challenges that you're faced, but I think this is going to happen. I'm so excited.
Yep, we're really confident. I know that, you know, the original pause with coronavirus, there was all of a sudden a discussion nationwide. A lot of the plastic manufacturers tried to use it as a moment to push back bans. And for a moment there, it looked like things were going to be affected. And then suddenly, I mean, when Kroger, who's been a huge partner on this, when Kroger said, no, we're not going to ban reusable bags in our stores. We know that this can be done safely. I think that was a huge moment to push down any of that discussion that was coming up as a new excuse from some of the plastic manufacturers to try to shut down these initiatives. It clearly didn't make sense. We use our reusable bags every week when we do our Kroger trip. We bag them ourselves. Everybody, we haven't, you know, that's not a real reason that people are getting sick. Even if that's what some of the industry tried to push, we know that that's not the case. We did add extra cautious language just to put, you know, to put everyone at ease, but we are certain that even among, you know, even in the midst of this pandemic, we can still help our environment and ban single-use plastic bags.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, John. Here's Chris. It was March 9th. He introduced the sweeping ordinance ban, and then Kroger came and supported it. Then Mayor Cranley joined forces, and so they were planning, this is the Cincinnati Business Courier, they're planning to launch this in April, but then we got got interrupted. But in the meantime, since then, other markets have come online, and they want to get this thing going. Even before Kroger had announced that they wanted to get their ban of plastic bags from out of their stores in 2025. But now Target, Walmart, CVS are joining the campaign called Beyond the Bag. And they're pushing Kroger to join them and move things along a little bit more. So they've invested quite a bit of money on that.
Yep, we're excited to see Cincinnati join the list of cities and states nationwide that have already taken this step. I believe it is 400 municipalities and states across the country that already have some form of bag ban or fee, and we're happy to join one, clean up the Mill Creek, the Ohio River, and really just do our best. And we know we can. Our goal is still January 1st, and we hope to pass it in September. And as soon as I have the date of the meeting, I will get that to Gina Marie, and we will get that out to all of you. Hope you can be there. In the meantime, feel free to email and call any of your council members who you have a relationship with, and continue to press on. Thank you again to all of the work that Pass Plastic has done. We are so close to the finish line.
Thanks so much, John. Thanks so much for your help.
Thank you.
So I think our next speaker is Alyssa, right? You're going to tell us about House Bill 242.
Hi, everybody. I am Elissa, and I am a staffer for Sierra Club Ohio chapter. I am based out of Columbus, which is the occupied territory of the Hopewell. And I use she, her pronouns. And House Bill 242, as was mentioned earlier, right now we are waiting for the House to reconvene so they would either approve or not approve the amendment that was placed on this bill. So basically, this bill has, when this bill was first introduced in earlier in the year, it was passed on the House side, and then when it went over to the Senate decided to add on a 1-year sunset for the bill. And we feel this was probably to encourage people to pass legislation through really quickly due to COVID. And that actually didn't end up happening. So it got stalled. And now the legislators are out for the summer session. And so now we're just kind of waiting for the session to resume on September 15th. So in the meantime, the Sierra Club Ohio chapter has sent meetings requests with the Governor DeWine's office, as well as literature of really stating, like why he should veto this bill. And a lot of it is around preservation of democracy, preservation of the Ohio's home rule, and then also just really not letting the plastic industry take advantage of our nation's fears surrounding COVID to make kind of rash decisions and instead make decisions on science. So let me advance this slide. We have lots of ways over the summer that you can get involved. So you can write your letter to the editor. We're going to have an action alert that goes out sometime in this month. And we've already have it. It's up in the ad up right now. And we're holding all of the sign-ons to kind of dump into DeWine's, box at one time once it gets closer, right before the session starts. And so in the meantime, we can share that out with folks and start having people share it on social media. You can also call the governor or write him comments. We can give you info on how to do that. We have a lot of great talking points we have a lot of great talking points to help folks in the right direction. So I definitely suggest you contact myself or contact Marie and Jean, how you can get tapped into what the local Cincinnati group, Miami group are doing. And then as well as me, I can get you set up to take actions. Really quickly, I'm just gonna give you guys an update on it. It's really important to kind of connect the dots and understand that plastic pollution is a problem. But we really also want to address where it starts in the production cycle. And a lot of it is happening here in Ohio. And that is happening because the shale that we have that they frack here in Ohio is known as wet gas, and wet gas is really perfect to make single-use disposable products. Sorry, my kiddo just popped in. So the plastic industry is wanting to turn the Ohio Rust Belt into the plastic belt. And you can see that here. You can see that there are 25 proposed projects coming up, in this Ohio River Valley area, and that's right over the shale deposits. And so obviously that's going to create a tremendous amount of pollution here in the Ohio River Valley. And so this includes things like methane plants, them using a tremendous amount of water to store methane underground in our caverns, the ethane crackers that actually crack the ethane into making these plastic nurdles that are used to make disposable plastics. As you can see, 1,200 new fracked gas wells to feed the cracker plant. So it's a tremendous amount going on, slated for here. And not only is it a really hardship on the environment, but the really sad thing is right now is that the state of Ohio has invested $70 million, that's $70 million. Ohio Jobs has invested in the PTTG cracker that's in Belmont, Ohio. So $70 million for a PTTG ethane cracker that had its Korean financial backer back out of $100 million worth of investment that they're not going to, be returned in any kind of way. So we have $100 million financial backer back out, and we have the state of Ohio taxpayers also investing $70 million now, looking for other backers on this project. So Shale John Cox is running a really great campaign on this, and I can get you looped in with her and get connected. But just wanted to give you a quick overview of that. And kind of touched on this briefly, but just really want to focus on the plastic industry has really jumped at this moment in time during COVID and used our collective fears to really exploit the decision makers and exploit the opportunities to use more plastic. So, in the midst of the COVID crisis, we don't want to see a plastic crisis as well. We don't want to see all of this work that we've been working hard to undo, just kind of be overthrown. And so they're using these fears to really convince people that transmission, somehow plastic bags make us safer, and that transmission can happen, I guess, around plastic bags. I don't really understand their thought process there. We have done a lot of research on what exactly is the science out there. And basically the science tells us it's the aerosols that you really need to be careful with, right? It's the one-on-one respiratory infections that really use us, that surfaces don't really need to be of a concern, and reusables are safe. There was 115 scientists that came out and all signed a letter stating that reusables are safe. So reusables are actually, so the bottom line is aerosols are the biggest transmission of COVID. Surfaces are minimum risk and can be easily avoided with cleaning. And when it comes down to surfaces, porous surfaces, so surfaces such as paper or a cotton bag or cloth, actually hold the coronavirus less times. It's been seen to be 2 days, 2 days on a porous surface. On a non-porous surface, it can stay up to 7 days. So non-porous would be stainless steel, glass, plastic bags. So anything that isn't porous is going to hold it a lot longer. So in fact, plastic is actually the opposite. It is more unsafe for us. We have lots of resources on the science. There's a lot of science out there. Even though COVID is new, scientists have really been scrambling and getting us. So what are you going to do if you can't use reusables at the grocery stores? Like John was saying, Kroger, but the Kroger here that I go to in Columbus, they allow me to use my reusable bags. They allow me to use my reusable produce bags, and they bag the groceries in the bags for me too. It's not a problem, but as a lot of us know, that varies from store to store. So there's a lot of different policies, and we're all trying to figure it out as we go. And so there are some really easy alternatives if your store is banning the use of reusables. So you can simply load your groceries back into your car and put it into your trunk, as you see here. You can ask to fill a customer survey out, or talk to the decision makers at your local grocery store, offer them information, science on it. Let them know that you have other options to buy your groceries that can support reusables. So use your dollar to kind of make some influence on their decision making. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jean.
Okay, I'm just we're looking at the future now, and the future is now, and we have to use our consumer purchasing power to stop the plastic right at the source. Here's one technique that I've seen. This is in Canada, Toronto, and this was actually in Cincinnati, but Toronto has it geared so that you can put a little bit down and you own that basket, and you just go bring it to you with you to the store, load it up, you weigh everything, you load it up, pay, and then you take it home. And they have been using this in Britain for 25 years in Sainsbury. It's very good. I don't think Joseph Beth lets you take home their baskets, but I do have on the slide taken my baskets home from Kroger. They don't seem to object, and I bring them back, and I don't have to use even my reusable bag. I just use no plastic, and it really works well. Okay, next slide. And Debbie Potocznik gave me a few ideas about how we can get around plastic packaging. So here's a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner bar. You just buy it just the way it is, no packaging. Dissolving laundry sheets. Here's a washing block, a dishwashing block. Bamboo toilet paper, and biodegradable things. Sometimes these biodegradable sort of alternatives to plastic require a lot of carbon dioxide to manufacture. So I'm not sure that's the best solution, and they're also a little expensive right now. Bamboo toothbrushes, and here's a laundry powder. So it really minimizes the packaging and a lot of the plastic. Move on, please. Next slide. And of course, there's silicone, snack and sandwich bags. These are, you've seen this in Whole Foods, the washable net produce bags. And here, you don't hear it, you can have enjoy the go with a bidet seat here. You can buy the seat by itself and put it on your own toilet, and it's good. Bidets are good for the planet, and it's nice. It's a good solution, I think, to these. You don't have to clear cut the forest to get soft toilet paper. So here, there's new things going on in Europe and Asia, Australia, Africa even, where they are completely keeping plastic out, no plastic at all. They're imagining a supermarket with no plastic. So there's all of this plastic packaging of individual fruits. I mean, I think this is really the petrochemical industry really trying to really build a lot on plastics, make your world plastic. We are turning our oceans into landfills, and we're turning our bodies into places where harboring the virus. It makes us unhealthy. There's a connection between the healthy health of the planet and the health of the body. We have to really break this habit. Okay, next package, next slide. And here's another idea of a smart packaging in the smart supermarket. You actually can either buy containers there or bring in your own containers, reuse the containers, and just do these kind of refill these things and take them out. You weigh them and then refill them and take just what you need. So it seems like a good solution as well. This is happening everywhere. And even I've got a picture further on of a place in Columbus where they're doing this. Next slide. So here is in Amsterdam. They call this food in the nude. You actually just come in with your basket and throw your things in, weigh them and throw them in and take them, pay for them, take them home. So they're starting with just one aisle at a time as a microcosm of the eventual entire store. And they're using bio-based and compostable plastic alternatives. So all of this is aluminum, glass, anything that's recyclable. Next slide. And here is in Columbus, Alyssa just found this. It's a refillery. So you can just bring your own containers or buy their containers and take back cleaning fluids and cleaning things and hygiene products. So you can just go there, and this is maybe the store of the future. Next slide. So just to conclude, I think we need to champion smart packaging so that we can return, refill, reuse, make the smart supermarket the new standard in modern retail. This is playing into the circular economy. So we really have woken up to this. This is something that we can put our pressure, our buying pressure against the petrochemicals, say we don't need your plastic, and move on and build a plastic-free future. Thank you.